stepping in there at center. How did he do? And I guess you're not surprised anymore when he comes through for you guys.
No, man, Darius has been our Swiss Army knife, man. We can plug him in wherever we need to go. He's got in there at center, and I think he had one where I got on him because he said his hand was wet. I said, well, that's your responsibility to keep your hand dry. When he slid the one back there, and it was like an epiphany moment. He was like, oh yeah, you're right. So I put a towel on, and he put a towel on, and he was fine after that. So little things like that, but I mean, no, man, I'm very comfortable with Darius playing all 5 positions. And he gives us a little security blanket because he can go in there and do it at a high level too.
The run game in general, what did you like from it? What stood out, and what are some things maybe to clean up moving forward?
Yeah, I'm always, like, our backs are doing a phenomenal job of seeing it and hitting it and finishing with great ball security. I've been loving how they own the football and finishing runs. Got to see the explosiveness of all the guys, and which is good because we think once those guys get in the open space, they can cause some damage. Up front, with Darius going to center, it didn't really change much, but I like the fact that sometimes the main, we love to run the counter. If that's not hidden, can we go to the zone schemes? Can we go to some other things? So I like how multiple is starting to be in the run game, where it's not just, we got the G play going, we got the zone going, and the inside zone was good. So I like how multiple the run game has been.
Justin?
After the game or during the game, when Darion's been through so much with his injuries, when he scores a touchdown, is that something you kind of get to appreciate after for him to have that moment after everything, the injuries he's been through?
Yeah, and that's something I got to get used to, especially in game day deals where I know Darian is a good player, and I've seen him doing it at a high level for so long. He has fallen through some injuries, so I'm happy he scored. But it's almost like I expect him to make those plays. So I have to do a better job in the moment of going to celebrate how big those moments are because, I see him every day, and I know he's a good player, and I'm glad he's starting to fight through, and his body's healing up. So I got to over-celebrate him a little bit more probably. But no, man, Darian, he's a good player. I mean, he's made plays for us. He's been around since year 1. So, I'm glad he's healthy and making the plays that he's capable of making because he is a really, really good football player.
Chris?
You guys were obviously able to unload the bench. Did any of the young guys that got an opportunity stand out to you with what they did with it?
Yeah, it's still earned time, where those guys have to earn that time to go out there, to be able to go perform. And we still got to trust them to go perform at level because it's not like the quarterbacks don't have on green jerseys. They're still live. So you got to have people out there that's going to still keep people upright and keep it healthy. And we're responsible for the health of our backs and quarterbacks. So those guys earn that time to go out there and do it and trust them at a high level. So you got Jalen out there playing some tackle. He's also multiple guys training at tackle and guard. Julian as well got some tackle deal. Stick, like him getting out there. I like all those guys getting out there and rotating. Sapp got in there. All those guys getting there that they earn that time to go in there and be able to perform at a level. But we still got to trust them to go out there because they're still responsible for the health of the quarterbacks and the running backs.
Brendan?
As is understanding that perimeter blocking is always an emphasis for the wide receivers, and that's a requisite. To see someone as young as Hakeem Williams, I guess, putting that much into that aspect this early in his career, how encouraging is that what he can still keep developing into?
It's the same way that I just talked about with those young guys earning that time. That's the requirement to even be able to go in the game is that you got to be able to block. So whether you from Keon to Johnny all the way down to Hakeem and Dre, those guys, you have no choice in that. So one thing about it is we're gonna make sure you're dominant in the run game and dominant in the blocking game, and then you earn those opportunities in the air. But Ron has set the standard where that's kind of the given. And the same thing I said about Darion, where I know Hakeem can block, so I got I'm glad the world is starting to see it, but I see him doing it every day. So I'm glad he got out there and showed people that he's working, he's developing in his game. He also got a big, I think it was a 3rd or 4th down catch, which is big for him. That part of it too. So I'm glad people are starting to see the progress of those young guys and earn that time to be able to get out there.
Jerry?
Question, we take you back to where you talked about being more multiple. And instead of a lot of counter, we saw more inside and outside zone. Can you explain why, more in detail, why you want to do that? Why you did it in this game? Did Darius being at center have anything to do with that?
Well, somewhat. He's able to reach noses and 2 eyes because of his athletic ability, but so is Maurice. a recent athlete in there also. I think more of it, we try to, like, we want to be multiple in the run game. We've always been multiple in the run game. We do have our hanger out runs that we're going to run. But I like the fact that we're getting the outside zone going because, like, some of our backs just, like, the more multiple you are in the run game, the harder it is to hone down and just scheme you with the D-line, the linebacker play, and things like that. So when you're multiple, you get the run game going however it needs to get going. Very similar to the pass game. If the vertical game ain't hit, we can hit the short game and things like that. So I like that because the season is like, the season is, it's always a one-game season, but you're also preparing yourself for whatever comes your way, you're equipped to handle it. So there might be games where something is not hitting, you got to go to something else. Like, it gives you more answers, and it also starts to build confidence in the players to be able to say, we know we can always get to whatever we need to get to operate and have efficiency, whatever we're doing. So you don't have the excuse of, oh man, they stopped this, so what is the now what? So as the season is going, we're learning, you know, because we got some new guys out there with Casey and Jeremiah, like starting to see them because they didn't run one play for us last year. So them starting to understand and see, hey, we can take this thing however we need to go, depending upon what we need to do and what the defense is giving us to be able to have success in the run game, no matter what it is. And so seeing those guys kind of come along and things like that, it's been good. Like I like that. You know, I enjoy that.
Kurt?
There's a lot of attention, understandably so, on Keon and Johnny, but on a night where, I mean, Johnny, I don't think had any catches. Keon, I think, had 4. How nice is it? I mean, to see the depth of that group really shine. You talk about Darion, what Deuce did. I know you expected Kentron back at some point, and the freshman, just the depth of that group flashing a little more than beyond just the top end talent.
You see the time that's being put in because, like, for example, you brought up Deuce. Deuce was a quarterback that transitioned to wide out, so he was still raw in the position, which, you know, he had a couple plays where he looked like a quarterback. He thought he was. And but seeing his development of catching the ball, tucking the ball, top of the routes, you know, we're using him in the sweep game and things like that because he's an explosive player. Darion, good route runner, strong, big, good hands, man, makes good plays. Winston, man, had some plays out there. It was good to see him starting to be back to himself, you know, and things like that. So we're just, I got to make sure. I've been seeing it, so it's kind of like I know what those guys can do. I'm just glad they're being able to showcase themselves and work and prepare. And what I love about that room is that how happy they are for each other's success. That's what makes it special. We got good players, but when I see them genuinely happy when Darion scored, I'm seeing the receivers go tackle him. I'm seeing guys like that is what I'm enjoying with this team, and we got to continue to build on that where we are authentically and genuinely happy when others have success. And if they continue that, and as tight as that room is, I think we're gonna go forward, man. The receiver position is the hardest position not to be selfish because you rely on everybody else for your success. You rely on the quarterback. You got to make sure you rely on the defense somewhat too because they got to give you the coverage to get the ball. So if those guys are the leaders of your team, working hard, blocking, unselfish, happy for each other, that's just gonna trickle down to everybody else. And I've been proud of that group and what they've been doing so far to show that.
Essen?
You got you played 4 quarterbacks, got Tate in the game 3 for 3, had 2 touchdowns and 2 drives. Rockland in his first play kind of read the defense well and took off and had a good run. And obviously you got in as well. What were your overall assessment of the 3 quarterbacks that came in?
Just the poise of those guys, man. I mean, when they go out there, they're locked in, and we don't shorten the game plan when they go out there. Like, we call them the same plays we would call early in the game. They got to understand it and be able to get to what we need to get to because we also give them the menu just like we give it to Jordan because to start their training. I was proud of how they operate, how they saw it. I mean, I saw Brock make a protection check, which was big time for him. So AJ, you know, copy and run. So like, as long as those guys are progressing to not just go in there and snap the ball and just play however they, but to see it pre-snap, see the clues, see the keys, see the read. As long as that progression, as many live reps as they get in those situations, are always a bonus.
Chris?
With Boston College, anything in particular stand out on the film with them defensively?
Just sound. I mean, they're not particularly giving up when they're trying to keep the ball in front of them. They're already supposed to be. They do a good job of understanding leverage of blocks. When you attack them, they know how when they want to go over the top or underneath. They read pulls very well. When you pull, they like to pull and things like that. Good eye discipline. So it's going to be a deal where we can't get off schedule. We got to make sure we're efficient and operating at a high level because those guys are disciplined. They're keeping it in front of them. I mean, I've been very pleased in just how they've been able to really just be disciplined. Like that's what everything. When you look at offense and you start looking at the defense, you wanna see, number one, are they gonna be where they're supposed to be? And do they understand, can they play fast within the scheme? And they're playing fast and they're keeping things in front of them. So it's gonna be a challenge to make sure we're not giving them mistakes to get in long yardage situations, because that's what they want you to do. So I've been impressed with just their discipline and soundness and being able to attack and leverage blocks.
On one of Jordan's kind of crazy scrambles, the offensive lineman seemed like it did a pretty good job of staying engaged and providing some support in a non-traditional format, and then also not getting downfield when he did throw the ball. I assume that's like just speaks to the experience and the knowledge that those guys have. But how beneficial is there just the experience and knowledge of those older guys?
When you got a guy like Jordan, we talk about scramble is a play. So when we get in scramble, we have scramble rules built in, so we understand those rules moving forward, because like we always say, we say this in our room, is those plays count too. You know, those are not, we don't call those broken plays. So we practice with our receiver rules, our line rules. We can't hit guys in the back. We got to be able to shield. We can't hold. If we feel a tug, we got to let them go. That means escape the pocket. We just have to make sure those rules are built in, because Jordan can create. That's his game. So we have to make sure we're on point to understand that he can do those things and not getting hold calls, and not get down the field calls, and not get blocking the backs when he's scrambling out. So you saw guys shielding, and when you feel a tug away, let them go, because we don't want to get a hold call on the edge. So I'm glad to see those rules coming in the moment, because that's what you worry about. We work it, we talk about it, but does it show up in the moment when it's happening? And they've done a good job. We still need to strain and not have that time, that shot clock in our head. We need to strain all the time, but you know, because we're gonna have that's a work in progress. But I'm proud of them mentally locking in the moment for things that happen. Because in practice, you know, we don't know where their heads. We hope their headspace is I'm gonna do this in the game, and when it shows up, that shows you the work.
Aslan?
Coach, it seemed like they were trying to bring pressure early. Were you guys able to pick it up most of it as communication or physical superiority, and how much of that you anticipate moving forward, teams doing that to try and get Jordan off?
Yeah, I mean, like when you get to those third down, we had some third and long looks out there and some fourth downs. You know, a guy running free at the quarterback is a guy running free at the quarterback, no matter what his physical capability is. He's possible to knock you out the game. So I think we're getting more experience, because that's defensive football right now. They want to play sound and get you in long yardage so they can have fun on third down. So now, including in practice, we're having times we have to, whether defense runs pressures or not, we having BPU and blitz pickup almost all the time, because how unique defenses are getting with these simulated pressures, show one side, bring the other, put defensive inside, and they had a really good third down plan and third down scheme. So we have to take time now out of practice, no matter who we're playing, to work exotic looks in obvious pass situations, because so many defenses have adapted now where they can give you simulated pressure, where they can bring 5 or even 4 and still eat your running back up. So we're having to adapt and make sure we're prepared for all of those looks as we're moving forward, no matter if a defense runs a look or not. And most defensive coordinators, they're always going to have a new blitz for whoever they're playing. They're going to have something unique that they've done. They're going to self-scout, and they're going to do something that we haven't seen. So our rules and dictating our communication, those obvious pass situations, got to be on point. So our guys are doing a good job of handling, especially our running backs, because those guys have the hardest job, because we have to communicate with them even though they're behind us. And then our quarterback has to relay it too. And also, man, you got to give credit to Jordan, because he understands the protection, where he can, at the end of the day, he got to protect himself too. So I think it's a total group effort, and also we have to make sure we have a plan in place for base rules and obvious pass, because defenses have gotten so crazy on third downs that we got to make sure we're on point.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.